Migration for me is not just about moving people across borders, but I think it's about consolidating the fundamental principles of Pan-Africanism, which is unity, solidarity, and collective identity. And being here in Harare, Zimbabwe, tackling the issue of good legal identity for migrants with a regional perspective of the Eastern Horn of Africa, I think it's a really important topic because many migrants, contrary to popular belief that migrants go outside the continent, 82% of all migration internationally from African countries happens within the continent. So I think it's a really good conversation to see how best we can tackle issues of good legal identity for migrants so that they can get the benefits. I don't know what your perspective would be.
I was also thinking, on that note, it's important to identify the reasons for migration,
Right.
Be it economic, education and skills, political instability, or even climate change and other environmental factors that can lead to certain groups or individuals migrating from their countries of origin. But then you find even with all of these reasons, there's still a problem of certain communities or nationalities that are not able to get services because of poor civil registration systems within the countries or even uneven civil registration systems. And that leads to statelessness, and they're not able to get access to essential services across this whole migration process.
The essential point of having these legal identity systems that can talk to each other and harmonize across the continent is essential for fostering this migration patterns for also the better. Now, as Africa's youth just grows in terms of population, we're expected to be the largest youth by 2075, I think. Yeah. So once you are harnessing that, I think it's also important to have these harmonized data systems so that people can also migrate, not just due to conflict or environmental instability, but for educational exchange, for cultural exchange, and to draw on what you said about Pan-Africanism, to get us closer to that cultural exchange systems. Yeah. So to enhance migration for positive things as well. We already have a lot of migration that happens for education. You can foster a lot of that if you gave that access to a lot more people and youth.
That's quite interesting that you mentioned that, and I think for me that now draws to what kind of things should member states start to implement. And of course, we've got the global context of, the normative frameworks that are present, for example, SDG number 16. We've got normative frameworks around the Global Compact on Migration and the Global Compact for Refugees. And most importantly, I think here in Africa, we've got the African Union Free Movement Protocol that facilitates regular pathways for migrants. And interestingly that you talk about education, one of the articles and chapters of this particular protocol talks about mutual recognition of qualifications and things of that nature. So, and you see, it doesn't just feed into the need for us to protect the rights of migrants, but it should also be seen as an economic opportunity, even for host, states. When you have skilled migrants coming into the country, or even those that are undocumented, perhaps, and they get good legal identity, it will facilitate their ability to contribute to the local, framework of things.
Yeah, I think on that note, it's also important then that countries should have goodwill. So if we want to scale up free movement and have all these economic opportunities for all the migrants within countries, it's also important for countries to have goodwill between themselves and say that this is very important for the continent and we should stop thinking about operating in silos, but think about how, for posterity, having good legal identity is very important.
It's the foundation to everything else that can be built upon it, right? Free movement, I think, in theory, we've worked it out in theory, but in terms of any level of implementation from the subnational to national to regional levels, if you don't have legal identity systems built on good faith that harmonize, speak to each other, and collaborate nation to nation, you're going to have a lot of difficulty tracking any type of free movement that can happen. So,
yeah, I agree.